Hi, hello, and welcome, or welcome back, I suppose. Today we're continuing last week's mood and keeping it nice and cozy cute. I'm always looking for more queer fiction, and my library is always a good source for that, given that they do have a big old shelf of queer lit, and actually they've got quite a lot of queer history with the library, but that's separate. I wanted something short and sweet, and I've heard good things about this book, so this week we're looking at Fence, Volume 1, by C.S. Pescat, Joanna the Mad, and Joanna Lafuente. Now, to start out, to be clear, this is teen fiction, and that is obvious, especially in some areas. If you're just looking for something simple to spend your time with, then this is a pretty good way to do so. There are a couple of scenes where my brain went, this is not written for me, but not really in any way that heavily impacted my enjoyment of it. For example, when our main character Nicholas first starts boarding school, we get this is what life is like in a place like this, and it's fine for what it is, but it is very of its genre. But God forbid a teen romance is written like a teen romance, am I right? So, and basically this book follows Nicholas as he tries to become a champion fencer. We have some idea. He's got the idea that he is the illegitimate child of a former Olympic fencer, and he has a rival who he almost gets a point over in one tournament, but ultimately gets beaten, and he sort of makes it his mission to take over this guy, and he ends up at a boarding school. Seems like some kind of either prestigious sporting school, or just they have a big fencing team, a prestigious fencing team, or not necessarily, they aren't the prestigious ones, but they are trying to be in competition with the most prestigious. And Nicholas, I don't know why I went most there, but Nicholas is on a scholarship. He is not paying to be there. But I will say, I should compliment this on the fact that it is actually something that reads like something for teenagers. And I don't just mean that in general, I mean very specifically because this is a romance. The topic of sex is brought up, but it doesn't feel like someone is writing porn for teenagers. And I know that sounds like I'm hand-wringing, but so many young adult and teen books feature way too much explicit content for a young audience. Teenagers know what sex is, but there's no reason for you to be, well, like I say, writing porn for kids. Because if you put it like that, it suddenly sounds a lot worse. Like, if I look at something like Icebreaker, it is, you look at the front cover, the illustration style skews much younger, and you read it, like, the way it's written, it is written like a YA novel, and yet it is chock full of pornography. You can call it smut, you can call it spicy content, it's pornography at the end of the day. I don't have an issue with explicit content, but stop writing it for teenagers. And you can say, oh, but it has adult warnings on it. Not on the front. If you have to open it to find that, it's not explicitly labelled enough, There's a reason that in TV and films, there are age ratings that go higher when there's explicit sexual content. And I do think that books should have that. I remember when I was younger, I was like 17, and I tried to buy a book from Tesco, because the plot sounded interesting. I didn't know it was an erotica, but it got flagged when I scanned it through. It was like, you're not going to be able to buy this, it's for adult readers. And I think that should happen. I think that's fair. If I try to buy an 18 DVD and I'm 17 years old, I can't buy it. Even if that's not something that is explicitly like pornographic, something like Game of Thrones features a lot of sexual content, but it isn't inherently porn. But I believe you have to be 18 to watch that. Let me just, I'm on my computer, so I'm going to Google what is the age rating for Game of Thrones. Now, it might be different for certain seasons and everything, but let me Okay, this is apparently actually a little bit more fucking difficult than I thought. So they've got TVMA, which is mature audiences. I think that's the American rating, but it means it may not be suitable for viewers under the age of 17, which, again, basically in the UK that would mean it has an 18 rating were it a film. As it should be, and I think more books should have that on the front. Have it be a removable sticker. Have it be like when you have a graphic novel or manga where it comes in a plastic wallet, or like it basically comes in like a plastic casing that has intended for mature readers. I think more books need to have that, especially with the rise of book talk being like, I only read dialogue and I only read the spicy scenes, and I'm like, okay, who am I to judge? Actually, you know what, I'm a bitch. I am going to judge you for that. Don't tell me that reading is your hobby and you read 500 books a year if all you're doing is skimming some bits, reading dialogue, and then wanking. I'm sorry, that's not reading. That's just enjoying porn. Your hobby isn't reading, your hobby is porn. But back to talking about this. I will say I called this book a romance, but the romance is very clearly something that's going to be simmering on a sort of slow burn throughout the subsequent volumes. We're very much in the setup here, and that makes sense, really. We are in volume 1. I don't know of how many. And I will say, for a book about fencing, I wish we had more or bigger, like, action shots. What we have is fantastic, don't get me wrong, but I was hoping for some full spreads, maybe 1 or 2 pages of that. Like a 1 or 2 page full spread. Stuff that just feels a bit bigger. Like I said, the stuff that we have, some of the action shots are genuinely beautiful and fantastic, but I was just hoping for a little bit more. I don't know why I said it like that, but anyway, perhaps that'll come later down the line as tensions rise and we're later down the line in the tournament. And by the way, I love a tournament arc, and I think Nicholas is going to have a kind of fight his way from the bottom type arc, because it is a round robin style tournament. Give me that Eddie Kingston arc in the C2. Give it to me. I will eat it up. We don't have too much of the competition itself in this book. Like I said, it's very much set up, but it's the first volume in a series, so again, entirely expected. While I was hoping for some more big action shots, we did get some great spreads. 2 in particular spring to mind. The first is when Nicholas' rival beats him for the first time, kicking this whole sort of thing off. And we get this really cool shot of him with the little winner graphic, which is just real nice and clean, by the way, with all of the bodies of the people he's beaten in the background. And I think it's bloody stunning. And another of my favourites is this spread of everyone trying out for the fencing team. I love how vibrant it is, and it feels like a sort of choose your character screen in a fighting game. I love stuff like this. A while ago, when I was convinced that I'd actually make a full tarot deck, I made a mock-up comic cover of the 4 Horsewomen, and it's one of my favourites from, like, the progress I'd made on the deck, like, the stuff that I did manage to complete. And sure, I have improved a lot since this, but I'd never really done anything like this before, and I am still genuinely really pleased with it. Like, less so the graphics on the outside, but they were sort of placeholders. I was just like going, okay, here's sizing or whatever. But I had a lot of fun reading this book, and I probably am going to read further into the series when I want something very simple, very cozy, and I think it seems interesting. I look forward to seeing how Nicholas and Seiji, his rival, go from rivals to lovers, because I feel like that's 100% where that's going. I don't generally cozy down with teen fiction as much, but I do find it more digestible with graphic novels and manga. I'm sure I'll request more of this series from the library in the future. I've seen later volumes in there, so it shouldn't be too difficult for me. But tell me about some good queer fiction you've been reading and enjoying recently, or just in general. I'm always trying to peep some more. I mean, I think I have a couple of queer books coming up at some point, but I will say my physical TBR pile, which includes both library books and books that I own, is huge. I don't know how I said that. I might have said that in a really weird order. My brain just turned off halfway through that sentence. Anyway, I have a massive TBR pile with books that are mine and books from the library, so I don't know when things are going to come up. It also relies on me finishing this fucking bad red book club book. Well, finish the book, finishing the script. As soon as that's done, this will be so much quicker. But anyway, feel free to like, feel free to subscribe, feel free to ring that notification bell and all that other cringe shit I'm supposed to ask you to do in my videos. But most importantly, I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful night, a wonderful whenever you are watching this. Take good care of yourself. Right.